I know that I've been doing a lot of vlogs this past couple of weeks, mostly because I've been in like Dragon Con crunch mode. I have been kind of showing you my process of preparing for conventions. However, I wanted to make a singular video, especially with conventions coming back. I know that a lot of people, myself included, are trying to remember exactly how to prepare for a convention, because I know I did. I was like, what do I even do? I don't even remember how to do any of this. So hopefully this video will help you guys out and kind of bring you along with my whole thought process of preparing for conventions. I'm just gonna get on into it. I need some refreshment right now. So for me personally, whenever I'm preparing for a convention, I find that I like to start about 2 weeks prior to the convention. So that's about the time that I start to really kind of get in my head, kind of freak out and get a little bit anxious about what is to come and what I need to do. And the first thing that I do whenever I start feeling that way is I do something, and it's kind of like modified. You may have heard of something called morning pages, and it's this thing that was popularized in the book The Artist's Way. It's essentially writing 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing as soon as you wake up to kind of get like all the junk and the crud out of your head so that you can kind of be more creative. I personally like to use this practice to help whenever I'm starting to feel anxious and in my head about what is to come. So what I do is I go and grab a notebook, or sometimes I even sit down at my computer and just kind of type away. I basically just word vomit onto the page everything that I'm freaking out about. You know, like I'm freaking out about forgetting a wig, or I'm forgetting, you know, to finish a costume, or I'm freaking out over what my stupid convention cosplay lineup is going to be, because goodness, I changed my cosplay lineup at least 4 times before Dragon Con. I write that all down on the page, and it doesn't have to be 3 pages, it can literally be a paragraph. It helps to get it out of your brain and onto paper so you can actually take that information and use it to help you prepare for the convention. So for example, I remember writing a lot about the things for Sylvie that I needed to finish 2 weeks ago. I had to finish her top, I had to finish her scabbard, a lot of other things. So I essentially transferred that information that I wrote down in my journal and made a checklist. I made a small little checklist of all the things that I needed to do for Sylvie, for all of the other cosplays that I'm bringing to Dragon Con, just so I had it, you know, written out. And whenever I wrote it all out, And whenever I wrote it all out and made a checklist, it really wasn't that bad. Once I've got my list of like costume to-dos that I need to get done, this is kind of where I start to solidify my costume lineup for the convention. And a costume lineup, for those of you that aren't familiar, is just like a social media post that you post on like Instagram, Twitter, anywhere that you really are active. And it's essentially just a post to say, hey, this is what I'm wearing on what day. So for me, this is what my lineup is as of this moment. I am filming on Sunday, like 3 days before the convention. So if I'm changing this, then oh my God, past Robin, what the hell are you doing? It's really just for people that want to maybe meet you or want to know what you're wearing a certain day, or even for photographers if they want to, you know, meet up and take some shots of you in a costume. So that's all that it really is. You don't have to make a cosplay lineup post, and you don't have to stick to the cosplay lineup post that you post on social media. Again, things change. You may wake up one day, have a killer headache, and the thought of putting a wig on your head is just absolutely out of the question. Don't wear a costume that day, or wear something that's a little bit more low-key. You don't have to hard fast stick with what you put down, but it does help with the whole planning aspect of things to have a rough idea of what costumes you're going to bring so that you can then actually pack said costumes with you. Another big reason to have your costume lineup solidified is if there's any talent that you want to meet up with at the convention, like for photo ops, for autographs. It is something to keep in mind if there is a certain, you know, person that you want to meet and you want to get a picture with them. Once I have all of my costume stuff kind of figured out at this stage, I then move on to making a shopping list of things that I might need to buy for the convention. So this can range from things like, you know, you need more wig caps, you need some makeup that has expired, you need to refresh your makeup. And it could even lead into something like myself, where I bought a new set of luggage that I wanted to test out for this convention. I don't really recommend, you know, buying luggage 2 weeks before the convention, but it's what I wanted to do and wanted to try it out. And the reason I make this list about 2 weeks out is because there's always an opportunity to go back to the store 2 weeks out. It's better to do this, you know, than 2 days before the convention, especially with things like Amazon. If you need to buy stuff off of, you know, Art of Wigs or another website, you want to give it a little bit of time to actually arrive. Honestly, I would even recommend maybe, you know, making this list a little bit earlier than 2 weeks out from the convention, but this is kind of how I was prepping for Dragon Con, so I'm just kind of leading you along for what I did here. This is also a great time for you to make sure that all of your prescription medications are re-upped and that you've got enough for your vacation. One of the last things things I do in this 2-week period is I make sure that I have my convention tickets purchased, especially because during this time, most conventions are not letting you buy tickets at the door. So make sure that you have your convention tickets purchased at least 2 weeks out, just in case if they kind of get sold out. This also goes for photo ops, and normally I would tell you to get your photo ops and autograph stuff way before the convention. However, with the case of Dragon Con, they only release times and the ability to purchase them about a week and a half before the convention, again, because of everything that's going on. Also make sure that you have your, lodging and your hotel accommodations figured out. Again, this is something that should have been done months prior to this. However, this is the time that I print things out, like my hotel reservation. I also make sure that my flights are still, on time and doing what I want them to do, because whenever I originally booked my flight to Atlanta, I booked with Southwest, and then like about 2 months ago, they basically said, oh, your flight to Atlanta is now gonna have 2 stops and it's gonna take you 24 hours to get there. And I was like, no, Southwest, that is not what I'm going to do. So then I canceled that and I rebooked with another airline. That also goes for making sure you have all of the things you need to fly, like your ID, a passport, your vaccination card. This is not a video to argue about that kind of stuff, so I don't want to see any of that in the comments. I will be deleting it. So make sure you check with your airline, make sure you check with the convention on what their policies are, and make sure that you abide by them. And make sure that you bring masks and wear masks, because a lot of these conventions are making you wear them. So sorry, if you want to go to a convention, that's what you got to do. About a week out from the convention is whenever I really start to pay attention to my water intake. I know that's going to sound really weird, but especially going to a convention like Dragon Con that's in Atlanta at the end of summer, it's going to be really hot, probably going to be really humid. You need to go into these conventions hydrated, because if you go in dehydrated, it's only going to get worse from there, especially if you're going to be drinking, which a lot of people do. It's a party convention. For every drink that you have, make sure you're having a glass of water with it as well, so that you are not getting overheated and dehydrated at the convention, because there is nothing worse than needing to go back to the hotel to take a nap because you're dehydrated. Don't screw around with it, especially if you're wearing a really bulky costume or you're wearing a costume with a lot of layers. Don't mess around with hydration and making sure that you are comfortable at these conventions. This is also about the time that I start, cleaning the absolute crap out of my house, just so that I don't necessarily have to worry about it whenever I come back. This is totally optional. However, I do recommend it. It feels pretty great to come back to a clean house. You're going to be coming back from conventions with a lot of crap, probably from the artist alley and dealer's room. And it's nice to be able to just put them somewhere instead of putting them amongst your pile of crap that you didn't clean up before you left. About a week out is also whenever I really start to research around the hotel and see if there are places like a CVS or a convenience store or things of the like where I can potentially purchase things like breakfast food or purchase, alcohol. I'm not gonna lie, that's not too far away from my hotel. I also start to look at places that I may want to eat at, places that I may want to go see. Like, I know that my husband and I really want to go to the Olympic Centennial Park at least one of the days, so we wanted to see how far away we were from that. And this is also a great time if you're flying to make sure that your transportation from the airport is not going to be like an arm and a leg. For us, we're lucky enough that we're just able to take the, the metro, or whatever that system is called, and it's basically right where our hotel is going to be, so we don't have to walk all that far. That's like the biggest thing that we start to do, and it starts to get us really hyped up for the convention and like traveling in general, to see all the things that we want to go eat, all the things that we want to go do. So I definitely recommend, trying to look around your hotel, Google mapping around your hotel to see what is around. And the good thing about conventions nowadays is that even if there really isn't any kind of food or convenience stores around, you can definitely Postmate stuff to your hotel. You could probably do Amazon Grocer. I've never done Amazon Grocer, but you can, DoorDash stuff to your hotel. If there's not a lot of stuff around your hotel, then you're probably going to be fine. I just like to research around where I'm going to be. It's kind of fun. It kind of gets me in the mood to travel. And then we get to about 2 to 3 days before the convention, which is where I am currently at. It's Sunday right before Dragon Con. As I'm filming this is going to go up. I'm probably going to be back from Dragon Con by the time that this posts, but this is about the time that I go onto my phone and I go into my camera and I make sure to delete as many photos and as much files as possible off of the camera, so that I have space to, replenish those pictures whenever I go to the convention, because there's no worse feeling than whenever you're taking a selfie in costume that, you had to maneuver your finger out of so that you could actually take the photo, and then your phone's like, you have no storage. I then do a last load of laundry, and this is where I start to put aside all of the nerdy clothes or the clothes that I want to bring to the convention so that I can, pack them away a little bit later. And then this is where I start to pull out all of my costume stuff and start packing that away. And I will go into more detail about how I pack for a convention in the next video. However, too long, didn't watch that video that didn't come out yet. forget, I get out all of my makeup, make sure that I have all of the makeup, all of the brushes that I'm going to need for every single cosplay that I'm going to be bringing. I also make sure that I am bringing any removers that I might need. Like, so for example, if I was bringing Harrison Dula and I was wearing an alcohol-based paint, I would want to make sure that I had the alcohol-based paint remover, or else I would be having a very bad time at the convention, or maybe I'd be having the best time because I would just be permanently green, and that's kind of how I want to live my life. Then I go and I grab all of the costumes that I'm going to be bringing. I lay them all out to make sure that I have all of the costume pieces and I'm not missing anything. If you wanted to, you could also go the extra mile and, you know, try your costumes on to really make sure that you're not forgetting everything, because I know that that's kind of a way that some people will travel with skincare, or they'll travel with makeup. They'll actually have their makeup there, they'll do their makeup for the day, and then put everything back in the bag, and that's kind of how they kind of assuage the anxiety of them forgetting something. But yeah, it's a good idea to have all of your costume stuff pulled out so you know where everything is and you can pack it securely. And then that leads me to about a day before the convention, and honestly, the day before the convention is usually just absolute chaos. But because I have been preparing for the past 2 weeks, I feel a little bit better about things. I feel like I may have successfully not forgotten everything that I'm going to need, but the truth of the matter is you're probably going to get to the convention and there's going to be one little thing that you forget. And the most important thing that I can tell you is to not worry about it too much. If you forget to pack something like bobby pins, there's probably going to be a convenience store for you to grab some bobby pins. If something on your costume starts to fall apart, there's probably going to be somebody at the convention with a cosplay repair kit that has some super glue or some hot glue, and they'll be able to help you out. Just be aware that you may forget something, and that's okay. So try not to stress out too much if you forget something like that. But the day before leaving or flying to a convention, my house is just like littered with to-do lists. There are to-do lists on like post-it notes. There are just little reminders everywhere. Like there's a reminder on top of my charger to not forget my charger. So I definitely would say utilize checklists, utilize writing things down so that you don't forget things. That's the best way that I can kind of, you know, explain what the day before a convention is for me. So that's kind of my process for preparing for a convention. It's a little bit messy. It's a little bit kind of, you know, all over the place, but hopefully it helps you out a little bit. And if you have any other questions about things that I may not have covered, or, you know, just have a specific question that you would like me to answer, you can always leave them down in the comments below. Or if you want to, you can direct message me on Instagram. I am always answering those every day. If you have something that you don't really want to, you know, publicly post, but you want to maybe get my input on it, I am happy to help you out there. I will see you guys in the next video where I'm packing for Dragon Con. And as you're watching this video today, I am probably in the last day of Dragon Con, I want to say. I hope that I had a great time. I hope that you had a great time watching this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!